Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. We are live here today. We got a great show for you today. We are covering Puerto Rico and the hurricane they are dealing with, but also we're going to talk about Laura Ingraham's newest racist rant, our full election coverage and wrap-up, liberals' refusal to accept Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, the new Treasury Department tax giveaway to big banks, and we may be able to talk about Brett Stevens, and also we'll talk about the possibility of a second Charlottesville rally this weekend here on Newsflash Today. We got a great show for you today, and once again, we are live, as this is actually quite rare that this actually happens, but we are actually doing today's broadcast live. So the U.S. government, as we know, their abject failure to come to Puerto Rico's aid in the wake of Hurricane Maria has been well documented, but a preliminary draft of a report to Congress stressing the need for more federal aid to the island, the government of Puerto Rico finally acknowledged what neither it nor the Trump administration has previously confirmed. Over 1,400 people died as a result of the hurricane, over 20 times the government's official number of 64. Hurricane Maria cut through the island on September 20th, as we know, knocking out power. This is New York Times reporting here. The government's official count eventually swelled to 64, as more people died from suicide, lack of access to health care, and other factors. The number has not changed despite several academic assessments that the official death certificates did not come close to tallying the storm's fatal toll. But in a draft report to Congress requesting $139 billion in recovery funds scheduled for official release on Thursday, the Puerto Rican government admits that 1,427 people died in the last 4 months of 2017 compared with the same time frame over the previous year. The figures came from the death registry statistics that were released in June, which never became publicly acknowledged by officials on the island. If you want to find more generally out about the Puerto Rico situation, SWRN News has covered this in quite a big way. We have a new podcast out, if you don't know, Spotlight. We just have 2 episodes out of our first 4-episode season currently underway. And the first one, you guessed it, is about Puerto Rico. Who's to blame, what the problems are, and how we got the situation we got in. It's very well researched, in-depth dive in. And you will come at the end talking like an expert. I trust you. Promise me. You will spread the word on Puerto Rico because it's very important. And after this, you will be talking like an expert. Trust me about that. Yeah, I promise you that you will end up talking like an expert. So it's huge discrepancy in the deaths here. All of this language appears to have been scrubbed from the report that's currently online, but it can't be found in the Wayback Machine archive. A report dated back to just yesterday, August 8th. Times reporter Francis Robles tweeted on Tuesday night that she had seen the final language of the report, that the government hedges its language a little bit, and that the wording she read came from the July 9th draft version of this recovery report the government released for comments, adding that the official version is supposed to be released tomorrow. The report currently listed at the URL, while different, is still labeled a July 9th preliminary report for public comment, as that seems to be the way it is now. So in December, the Times reported, in contradiction of the government's official death count, that 1,052 people, more people than usual, had 1,052 people more had died than usual across the island in years past. So it was a spike in the graph of 1,052. So it appears that was a first real preliminary look in the fact that things were not as they should be. Just to say the least, things were not very good. And although the language has been removed from the draft report, Puerto Rico officials still stand by the estimate. We definitely acknowledge that it's realistic. That is a realistic estimate of this number. So Pedro Ceram, a spokesperson for Puerto Rico's government Federal Affairs Administration, told the Times, "We don't want to say it out loud or publicize it as an official number. The official number, a George Washington University study commissioned by the Puerto Rican government, will come, and it will be close. But until we see the study and the accuracy, we won't be able to recognize the number as official." So they can't quite really put like the nail in the coffin on that. They're not going to be able to fully come to that conclusion until this full study commissioned by George Washington University, which should be a little bit more realistic. They can't make it official until that comes out. During his infamous visit to Puerto Rico last October, President Trump said that Puerto Ricans should be very proud of the death toll, which was at the time officially 16, as opposed to a real catastrophe like Hurricane Katrina, where hundreds of people died. FEMA's official death toll for Katrina was 1,833. Well, it looks like you got your own Katrina there, bud. So no comment from the White House on that front, on that stupid comment, utterly stupid comment there, which is quite disappointing, quite sad, frankly. All right, anyway, we move on now to an unplanned story. And this is a public service announcement to anyone who is feeling a little bit depressed after elections, where there happens to be a Green Party candidate, and yeah, it's going to be. I'm gonna have to make this official. I am going to have to make this official. And there's only one way I can make this announcement that I'm about to make official. And that is with an air horn. Please stop talking about the Green Party. Thank you. That's very nice. We make that announcement. Thank you. Please stop talking about the Green Party. Please, please, please. And I think we may have to come back to this because it's a message that people just don't seem to understand. All right, so in a closely watched but ultimately largely pointless special election, Republican Troy Balderson. We gotta cut that out. But yeah, and you know what? I think it's time. People are forgetting already. Stop talking about the Green Party. They don't belong to the Democrats. Thank you. Please, stop. All right, so now we get to the content of the actual story. So it was all about the election. Republican Troy Balderson, that this election happened Tuesday, special election, Ohio's 12th district, currently holds the lead over Democrat Danny O'Connor by a little over 1,000 votes for the right to represent Ohio's 12th district in Congress until January. Because the past is always present, liberals scrambled through a third-party candidate to blame for the likely loss. Except for the fact that, well, it's not, because A, voters don't belong to you, and B, this guy's policy, Danny O'Connor's policy, was the blandest milquetoast thing. We read it out on our election special, and boy, was it awful. Just go to his website. It's like, more access to things. That would be nice, wouldn't it? I think so. Like, that's pretty much what some of the answers he gave. So, yeah, because the past is always present. Again, they scrambled for a third-party candidate to blame. In this case, that turned out to be this guy who walked right out of central casting for the role of Green Party candidate number 1, Joe Manchin. He's like a wild, mustachioed, crazy gray-haired dude, and this is what he said.
To donate to your campaign or volunteer,
at the end of an interview.
Yeah, I definitely have a website, and there's a donate page. There's a link for the donate page at the top of the website. You can just click on that link, and it'll take you over to where you can use a credit card or a PayPal account or another kind of card. What do you call those cards?
Debit card?
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Debit card. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's the guy who liberals say cost Troy Balderson cost Danny O'Connor the Ohio 12th seat for 3 months. Yay, 3 months. Like, the election is 3 months from now. Okay, great. Like, you can still run and, like, by the way, again, I don't even know where to start. So anyway, yeah, that's a little taste of him being. And now what we're gonna do is here's where we can start. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a look at 2 seats here, 2 tweets, sorry, from neoliberals about this whole election in Ohio 12th. Tonight's election in Ohio 12th, says Joyce Aline, serves as a reminder that we are not a parliamentary system of government, so votes for Green Party made by people who believe the Democratic Party is not progressive enough are in effect votes for the Republican candidate. Well, if you want their votes, stop lecturing people on who to vote for. How about you go more progressive to win the Green Party voters if they're costing you so many goddamn elections? And then Adam Best says, gonna lose it if the Green Party costs Democrats OH12. Why? You can try again in 3 months. If you want a third party, fine. But the Green Party is never going to happen. The only thing it accomplishes is helping to elect Republicans. It's the whole third party thing. It's a very sad situation because you want a third party, but in situations like this, personally in the 2016 election, I'd say, especially if you lived a swing state, you have to vote for Hillary because Donald Trump is so much worse. So much more of I wouldn't say so much worse, but is quite a good deal worse. It is a serious threat to our country. But this dude who you could campaign against him in 3 more months is relatively the same situations as a Republican in some states. And he's not a very strong Democratic guy. And the Republican isn't even particularly bad either. So we really need to kind of put this in perspective. It would be really nice. And so we could just stop freaking out about this whole entire situation. So yeah, since these tweets, Balderson's lead, 1,754 votes as of this live taping, has grown to exceed the number of total votes cast for Manchuk. So the man who could not remember the URL of his own website, that surprisingly did not stop these tapes, these hot takes here. Big hot takes. Trump supporters are deranged enough to think he's doing a good job. Green Party voters know, this is from the Palmer report here, sorry. Green Party, on Twitter, Green Party voters know Trump is destroying everything, yet they choose to vote in a way that hands him more power. Therefore, the Green Party voters are even worse than Trump supporters. Jesus. Wow. Maybe they're not. How about that? This is Hillary Clinton crony Oliver Willis on Twitter. FYI, the Green Party has been helping Republicans get elected since long before Republican involvement. Besides Gore in 2000, Karl Rove and the GOP worked to get him on the ballot in 2004 to try and hurt Kerry. That's the Green Party. This is the whole Green Party stigma here. Karl Rove tried to get him on the ballot, but there's only one group of people who decided this election, and there's actually quite a few. One of them in the 2000 election, people decided with the Supreme Court justices and Roger Ailes and Jeb Bush. That was it. And I don't want to get more on that because we don't have all day, and I don't want to talk for that long. And so yeah, those are all the takes about from Oliver Willis to the Palmer report on Twitter. Yeah, let us consider for a second the sort of person who turns out to vote in an August special election to decide who will represent their district for Congress in for less than 5 months. So it's not 3 months. It's like hold on. All right. So the election is in 3 months. The election's in 3 months. For 5 months is when the person takes office. And the New York Times reported that turnout in both Franklin and Delaware counties was 42%, and the 5 smaller counties included in the district as turnout dipped as low as 27%. So, no one really cared that much about the whole thing anyway. And this just not what you need to do. So, it's now imagine. So now the person who just turns out to vote in the August special election to decide who will represent their districts in Congress for fewer than 5 months